Hey, everybody, welcome to Vince on a Friday. Great to have you with us. Well, it's the best audience anywhere. Great to see you here. We've got a lot of news to get to. The Brown University thing, well, we've concluded it. They got the suspect. He's dead. He shot himself. I'll tell you everything we learned overnight. Lots of stuff coming out overnight about that. Lots of press conferences, multiple states. A lot to get to. And then broadly, we've got problems, ladies and gentlemen. Illegal aliens have invaded the country, and man, they've caused some chaos. We'll give you the latest just in the last 24 hours and what the Trump administration is doing about it. Some brand new revelations on that front. We're going into Christmas week. It's great to see you here as always. Thank you for being with us. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you for that. Wherever you're getting us, please make sure to subscribe. I promise you, we've got massive, massive shows coming up in the year ahead. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. Thank you to our sponsors who've made this year so wonderful. Patriot Mobile, one of them. Listen, for a limited time, Patriot Mobile is running their very, very special end-of-year promotion. They call it the Red, White, and Blue Friday promotion. It's your once-a-year chance to get a free smartphone just for switching to America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. The brand new phone, absolutely free, while supplies last. For over 12 years, Patriot Mobile has defended faith, family, and freedom, all while giving you the same or better premium coverage on all three major U.S. networks. Unlimited data, mobile hotspots, international roaming, they do it all. And when you switch, you don't sacrifice quality or service. Hundreds of thousands have joined the movement to help support a company that believes in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our veterans and first responders. Switching, it's easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade to that free smartphone today. Their 100% U.S.-based team can activate you in just minutes. Go to patriotmobile.com/Vince or call 972-PATRIOT and use the promo code Vince. Don't wait. This limited time offer ends December 31st. That's patriotmobile.com/Vince or call 972-PATRIOT with the promo code Vince. Join me. Make the switch today. It's great to have you with us. We got some good news yesterday. The Brown University killer appears to be dead himself by his own hand, shot himself in a storage unit as police were closing in on him. Here's the latest. We get this report. I'll just go to the Fox News version of it. Lots of reports out there. The guy's name is Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. He's been identified as the Brown University suspect, and as I mentioned, found dead by authorities as they were pursuing him. He is connected, they say, to two different shootings, not just the one at Brown University that killed those poor students last Saturday, but he also is now blamed for shooting a nuclear scientist, a physicist, who was a professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology later in the week. So those two events, lots of people focused on who was responsible for them. Apparently, the same guy was responsible for both of them. Authorities identified the suspect in Saturday's mass shooting at Brown University. That left 2 students dead, 9 injured during finals week's review session. Remember, they were in an economics course, their study hall. The same man is believed to have carried out the murder of that nuclear scientist from MIT days later. His name, Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. He's a Portuguese national, not an American. He's a Portuguese national in our country, killing our people. Here is the announcement from authorities last night, late last night, on the suspect.
An individual was identified as Claudio Neves Valente, date of birth, and he was a 48-year-old man. He was a Brown student. He was a Portuguese national, and his last known address was in Miami, Florida. And I will tell you that he took his own life tonight. We have members of the Providence Police Department up in Salem, New Hampshire. And we also have the BCI unit. Obviously, the FBI and their evidence recovery unit is up there. So the process is being conducted as we speak.
Here's the photo released by the Trump administration last night. This is what the guy looks like. He does look like a killer. He's got the face of one. That's Claudio Valente. So that's the guy caught on camera. And they say they tracked him down through a number of things. He had this rental car, and he was changing license plates. He had a Florida plate on it and then a Maine license plate on it. They say he was trying to evade detection on his cell phone. He had created a number of sophisticated ways, or at least thoughtful ways, to try and conceal his tracks that made it difficult to find him. Now, of course, we were spending all week talking about how just absolutely incompetent and buffoonish the authorities were in Providence, Rhode Island, as they would say things like, oh, well, we don't have any cameras in the old building. No cameras are there. I don't know why you would expect there to be. And things like, oh, we can't tell you what the guy was yelling when he was shooting the students in the classroom, or I can't tell you how many of the students who were in the classroom we've even talked to. Do you know anything? That we spent the whole week going, do you know anything? And it certainly looked like a cover-up to me. And in fact, to this very day, I'm convinced that at the very least, the cover-up is their own incompetence. They're covering up their many failures in this case. And you do wonder, did that MIT professor have to die? Did he have to get killed? Could they have prevented that slaying if they just could figure out, like, basically, up from down? These guys have been a complete disaster this week. And part of the news conference last night was complaining that people were criticizing them. It's been very hard to do this work with everyone criticizing us. Well, how about don't screw it up to begin with and there'll be nothing to criticize? And yet they did. The Brown president gave us some more details, as awful as she is. She gave us more details about this guy's attendance at Brown. Apparently he was there in the year 2000 and 2001 is when he attended. Take a look, cut 2. Here's the Brown president last night.
Claudia Manuel Neves Valente was enrolled at Brown from the fall of 2000 to the spring of 2001. He was admitted to Brown's graduate school to study in the Masters of Science PhD program in physics. During his time at Brown, Neves Valente was enrolled only in physics classes. The majority of physics classes at Brown have always been held within the Barris and Hawley classrooms and labs. Now, detailed records indicating where specific courses were held don't extend back to 2001. But we can say that physics classes typically require access to specialized equipment, including demonstration carts that are a fixed asset in some of Barris and Hawley classrooms. So I think it's safe to assume that this man, when he was a student, spent a great deal of time in that building. He has no current active affiliation with the university or campus presence.
Okay, so what they're saying is, like, he was here over 2 decades ago. Everyone's been telling us all week, this is an old building at Brown University. This is a building she was describing last night that he would be familiar with. He was studying physics at the time he was here. That's the key word overnight, physics. And thus, he would have very likely been in that building and been familiar with it. So that's the explainer as to why he might know the lay of the land and why perhaps he chose that target. It does seem like physics is the theme, though, because the MIT professor he killed was a physicist who he knew, and in fact, he had gone to school with in Lisbon, Portugal. Here's some more information about that. Cut 3 from authorities last night.
Did you go to school with the professor who was killed in Brown after that?
It is believed that in Lisbon that those 2 individuals attended the same university in Portugal.
Okay, so now we're starting to piece some of this together. There may be some connection to this guy's physics education or whatever, but it does seem like there is some sort of personal vendetta, personal target going on as to why he chose that school, why he chose that classroom, and why he chose that professor in rapid succession. So will we be getting more answers? Yes, they're doing ballistic tests. The guy killed himself with guns, obviously. He had 2 guns on him at the time of his death. The FBI has them. The ATF has the guns now, and they're going to be reviewing the ballistics from the bullets inside of the classroom, and they're going to try and piece this all together and verify the final details. But that's the saga. It took all week for this, and it looks like they got their guy. The government has affidavits and stuff up pointing to all of the available evidence showing why you have every reason to believe they've got the right person. They say there was a homeless guy. Do you hear this detail? There was a homeless guy at Brown University who encountered the suspect before the shooting and then saw him again after the shooting and was asking him, what are you doing here? Why are you here? You seem suspicious. And then they kind of had a confrontation of some kind, and then the homeless guy walked away from it. And when authorities were looking for information, the homeless guy called the cops, and they said he was an amazing witness. He told them everything about what he had learned and the guy that he had encountered. And authorities last night said that he's likely to receive some percentage of the $50,000 reward that's available. Apparently, there are other tipsters who were helpful, so we'll see. But my question is, why is there a homeless guy living on Brown's campus? That's kind of what it sounds like is going on. Like, what is happening at Brown? What in the world is happening? In fact, what's the deal with no cameras? You know, Brown's president last night was asked, like, hey, why is it that you have no cameras in that building? And she knows how guilty she is on this subject. So she tried to turn the question into something else. You know when like these lefties, like they're called to the carpet for something that they screwed up on. They just start talking about something else entirely. Here she is last night trying to change the subject, and the reporter just doesn't let her. Watch this.
Video played a big role in this case. The neighbor's video, the rental car video, but not the video from the building that he walked in freely both before when he got in a confrontation and when he came back in decided to kill people. You didn't have cameras in that building, just say it, so we can get this over. And my next question, will you put cameras in that building?
Yeah.
Will we walk cameras in that building?
Yeah, you know, I think we need to look back. We'll look at everything that is done, but I do not think a lack of cameras in that building it had anything to do with what happened there. And we will go forward.
Well, tell that to the MIT professor's family. The lack of cameras in that building had nothing to do with anything? Well, that's crap for a million reasons. Here's a reason. If you have live security cameras at your school, presumably you might have somebody keeping an eye on whether or not you have suspicious people lurking around the campus. Maybe take a look at that. And if it's not a live camera situation, at the very least, in the aftermath of a horrific attack like that, you can take an inventory of recorded footage and try to track down the suspect very quickly. What direction did he go? What kind of car did he get into? You know, what does he look like in detail? They had nothing. So don't act like you had everything together, that it's an irrelevant detail. It's entirely relevant. You screwed up, and now you're making excuses for it. This Brown president has been a complete disaster. Why were they pulling websites down this week? Why were they pulling websites down? They were pulling websites down for some whack job lefty who was on their website. You understand what happened after they started pulling websites down? The whole country started thinking, is that the guy? Are you trying to cover up for the dude who did it? Is that what this is? In other words, they attracted more attention to somebody in the midst of all of this. It was everything the whole thing was psychotic. The whole pattern of behavior by Brown University. And that woman is paid millions of dollars a year to be that stupid. What a nice job. What a nice job. If only the rest of us could get gigs like that. Millions of dollars a year to be a moron. That's the head of Brown University. Who, by the way, was like, I had no idea. They're pulling websites down. No, this is the first I'm hearing about it. Who's in charge around here? Are you in charge? Also, what did the guy yell when he was in the classroom? Why did nobody tell us this all week long? Why did we not find out until last night? The Rhode Island Attorney General, Peter Noronha, finally opened his fat suck to tell the rest of us that the guy was barking in the classroom. If that's the case, whatever that means, why didn't you tell us this earlier in the week? Here's cut 4. Watch the Rhode Island Attorney General last night.
In terms of what was said, I don't know any more today than what I told you yesterday, or the day before. There are some witnesses who said he said nothing. There are some that say he made a barking noise. Don't ask me. I don't know why. And that's it. There is no other spoken word beyond that we are aware of as we stand before you tonight. And we have spoken to everybody that we have been able to locate who's been inside that building.
What? Okay. Assuming for a moment that that's an accurate portrayal of events, why didn't you just tell us that earlier in the week? Why did we have to play this game of rope-a-dope with you people all week long? What did they say? What did the guys say in the classroom? What did the eyewitnesses say about the subject? Can you tell us anything about what transpired? And they withhold that? Why would they withhold that? What was the point of that? Oh, it was going to tip off the suspect that we were onto him if we told people what he actually said out loud? No. So he said something incomprehensible and/or he was barking. Was it really that hard to say that? Do you jackasses have to sit on everything just to be, I don't know, just to like prove that you're in charge and the rest of us are not? What is that? It's crazy that it took. The guy's dead now. The guy's dead. And you finally tell us that. Thanks a lot. Thanks for all the help this week, fellas. Unreal. Just unreal. So that's it. I mean, that's basically, we're finding out more information about this. Now, I mentioned this guy's a Portuguese national. Portuguese national. In our country, with the generosity of our country. And here's what we know now. Kristi Noem overnight, the DHS secretary, out with brand new information on how this is changing all of America's policy right now. And this is a very important piece of information, long overdue, in fact. She says the Brown University shooter Claudio Manuel Neves Valente entered the United States through the Diversity Lottery Immigration Visa Program, DV1, in 2017 and was granted a green card, okay? So the guy comes in under the Diversity Visa Program. He earlier had a student visa. That's how he was here in 2001 studying at Brown for physics as a PhD. So now he was granted a diversity visa program. And for those who don't realize, the United States gives out what they call diversity visas to countries that have low numbers of immigrants coming into the United States, because for some reason, some stupid policymaker at some point thought, it'd be great if we increase the number of countries that don't have that many immigrants coming to America, because diversity is our strength. So we need to diversify more. We need people with even more alien cultures, we need even more cultures coming in, more people who don't speak the language. Everybody can mix up. It's going to be great for America. How'd that work out exactly? So we have a diversity visa program. It allows about 50,000 people in a year. That's in addition to, or as a part of, the 1 million legal immigrants who pour into our country each year. Legal immigrants, 1 million. 50,000 of them come in under this diversity visa program. Secretary Noem said in 2017, President Trump fought to end this program following the devastating New York City truck ramming by an ISIS terrorist who also entered under the DV1 program and murdered 8 people. At President Trump's direction, I am immediately directing USCIS to pause that program. Pause it. No more letting anybody in under the diversity visa program to ensure no more Americans are harmed by this disastrous program. Now, that's good news. That's good news. Long overdue. And also, it's a call for Congress to do the right thing and change the law. We shouldn't have a program like this. That's insane. A diversity lottery? You win a lottery to get in to the United States, predicated on what you come from countries that we don't normally take immigrants from? That's a basis for coming here? That's ridiculous. The whole thing is insane. So get rid of that. Get rid of that. The Trump administration is getting rid of it administratively, but that's only as good as whoever the president of the United States is. We got a Democrat president in or some squishy Republican. They come in, they put this thing right back up and running, and then we've got more disasters coming in the future. We get truck rammings and school shootings and attacking MIT professors. How about none of that? How about we don't need people getting killed in our country and you stay out? That's the arrangement I want. And so let's do that. So good news here from the Trump administration. They're acting on this to stop any more of this from happening. Speaking of the Trump administration, I've got other news for you. They have been absolutely slamming foreign nationals who've been stealing like crazy from you. A number of massive prosecutions this week. I'll tell you all about it, including the scale of that Somali fraud. Do you know how much money the Somalis have stolen from us in Minnesota? I told you when this all started, it was over $1 billion, and then we started getting reports it was getting upwards of $8 billion. Now the number is getting to double-digit billions, which is a lot more than double digits, obviously, when you're in billions. It's a lot of money, and it's all ahead on Vince. And there are a lot of politicians out there who should be getting coal in their stockings this year. You know that. Birch Gold thinks that as a smart planner, you deserve silver. And that's why for every $5,000 you purchase between now and December 22nd, Birch Gold is going to send you an ounce of silver. Yes, indeed. And December 22nd, man, that's coming. It's coming so fast. Silver is up over 60% this year. You see, smart people diversify. They have a hedge. With the rate cuts from the Fed in 2026, the dollar, it's going to be worth less. And what happens if the AI bubble bursts? Diversify. Let Birch Gold Group help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. And for every $5,000 you buy, well, you'll get an ounce of silver for your stocking or for your kids. It's a great way to teach them about saving smartly. Just text my name, Vince, to 989898. Claim your eligibility for this offer. And again, just text Vince to the number 989898 today, because Birch Gold's free silver with qualifying purchase promotion ends on December 22nd. Text Vince to 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Minnesota, the land of 10,000 frauds. It's just crazy. The Somalis have been stealing a lot of money from us. A lot of money from us. They've clustered in Minnesota, and they're doing what prosecutors are referring to as fraud tourism. Fraud tourism? Who's ever heard of such a thing? Well, you can thank Somalis for that. You can thank people who have made Minnesota a hellhole for that. You can thank Tim Walz for that. We've got fraud tourism going on in Minnesota. Yesterday, we got an announcement from a top prosecutor in the state, the first assistant U.S. attorney, Joe Thompson, that they are prosecuting even more bad guys for stealing money from us. Take a look. Cut 5. Here is that gentleman, Joe Thompson, yesterday.
First, we're announcing charges against 5 new defendants in the investigation of fraud in the Housing Stabilization Services Medicaid program here in Minnesota. The first indictment, United States versus Hassan Ahmed Hussein and Ahmed Abdirashim Mohammed.
Great American names.
Involves the owners of Pristine Health LLC, a housing stabilization services company here in Minnesota. These 2 defendants enrolled in the Housing Stabilization Services program, purportedly to provide services helping people who were facing housing instability find and maintain stable housing. They did no such thing. Instead, they submitted fraudulent claims to Medicaid for services that they did not actually provide to those individual clients. In all, they obtained more than $750,000 in Medicaid payments through their fraud scheme, much of which they used for pretty extensive international travel, including to London, Sydney, Australia, Istanbul, Turkey, Dubai, and several locations in Saudi Arabia.
Ever been to all those countries? I haven't. Sounds like an incredible vacation. All at your expense. Those guys stole $750,000, and they're not alone. The rampant theft here has gotten to unbelievable sums of money. Unbelievable sums of money. And of course, it's not shocking, but it's absolutely appalling what's going on. In fact, as the attorney said yesterday, Minnesota has become a destination for what he refers to as fraud tourism. And he doesn't use this name, but the reason for that is Tim Walz. Tim Walz has made Minnesota a very easy state to steal from. Watch.
Fraud tourism is new, although we've heard of it as investigators here. I mean, these defendants came here not to enjoy our lakes, our beautiful summers, or our warm people. They came here because they knew and understood that Minnesota was a place where taxpayer money could be taken with little risk and few consequences.
Mm-hmm. Taxpayer money could be taken with little risk and few consequences. Now, what does that mean? Nobody's going to be prosecuted. Nobody's going to be held accountable. Nobody's going to be gone after. You'll be able to get away with it. You can just morally blackmail everybody into not pursuing you for your fraud by saying they'd be racist for doing it, which is exactly what the Somali community did as they were fleecing American taxpayers. That's precisely what happened. Now, are we seeing prosecutions? Yes, we are. In fact, thanks to the Trump administration, massive numbers of prosecutions now, Somalis being held accountable and being locked away for long periods of time for defrauding the rest of us. There are attempts to recoup the money as well, but it's unlikely we're going to get a lot back, considering they used it all on luxury vacations, cars, and homes. But they're trying. That assistant U.S. attorney, Joe Thompson, said the magnitude of the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated. This is a staggering amount of money. Take a look.
The magnitude of the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated. It's staggering amounts of money that have been lost. But it's not just about the money that's been stolen and wasted. This is a problem that's caused all of us to question what kind of state we live in. I think it's eroded our sense of collective statewide self-esteem and confidence. It's caused we've a state, as I've said before, that has long taken pride in having a strong economy, good schools, beautiful lakes, many parks, and a sense of community spirit and civic mindedness. This fraud really calls into question all of that. And I know that it's gone on. It's been allowed to go on far too long. And we need to do whatever we can to stop it in its tracks.
It's been allowed to go on. It's been allowed. Now, who allowed all that fraud to go on? Who could be possibly blamed for doing that? The answer is Tampon Tim Walz. The answer is the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey. The answer is Keith Ellison, the attorney general of Minnesota. The answer is Democrats, who allowed Minnesota to get robbed so much. Democrats did. Democrats did. Just like all these other jurisdictions across the country that they run, Minnesota in particular, they have run that state into the ground. They have sold out the people of that state, and they have sold out the country. They look the other way, and in fact, probably in many cases, stuck their hand behind them to collect a little bit of the money to wet their beak, as this corruption and theft was going on. So it's not enough to see Somalis prosecuted. How about the guys who oversaw the utter theft, the utter fleecing of the American people? And what's the number there? What's the number? Is it one? No. $2? $8 billion? Oh, no. It's a lot higher than that. In fact, Joe Thompson said yesterday that right now they're reviewing $18 billion in suspicious payments, and they believe at least half of that, that would be $9 billion, is fraudulent. Take a look here. Cut 7.
I don't make these generalizations in a hasty way. So when I say significant amount, I'm talking in the order of half or more. But we'll see. When I look at the claims data and the providers, I see more red flags than I see legitimate providers, and overwhelmingly so.
So you're saying you have reason to believe more than half of that $18 billion likely represents fraud?
I'm saying that's very possible. Yes.
I'm saying it seems pretty likely that more than half of the $18 billion we're assessing, more than half, he's not capping it. He's not saying that it's not 18 billion. He's saying it's at least 9. It's at least 9. And then we're going up from there. What? We got fleeced for that? What did they, chat, do we remember what the original wall price was? Remember in 2016 when President Trump was running for office? They were trying to build the wall. What was it? We needed $4 billion or something? $4 billion to build the wall. And like, it wasn't this. It wasn't whatever this is. $9 billion at least stolen from us, upwards of $18 billion. And you know, you and I both know what's going on here. They're barely scratching the surface. This is just the beginning. I mean, if you're fleecing us in these particular programs that the government's looking at, what other programs have you been fleecing us in? What other theft is going on? These guys have been living high on the hog. I mean, just imagine the lifestyles they're living on. And they did it by falsely promising they were going to help struggling people. That's so cruel and disgusting. So not only are they stealing from us, oh, producer Jim tells me $6 billion for the wall. That was the original number. $6 billion. $6 billion. If we're talking $18 billion stolen right now, you realize what that means. We could have built 3 walls to keep these idiots out, and yet here they are stealing from us. Okay, so just think about what they did, though. They steal from us in this way, and they say they're going to do it to feed hungry children, to put roofs over the heads of struggling and homeless people, to take care of autistic kids. By the way, some of the families, the Somali families who claimed that they had autistic children who needed this kind of assistance, they were lying too. They were a part of the fraud scheme. Here, just fill out this paperwork. Say your kid's autistic. We'll send you some money. And that's what happened. So we're getting fleeced. They're getting wealthy. And thanks to Tim Walz, no consequences until Donald Trump steps in. Until you elect President Trump to do something about it, now we're seeing handcuffs put on people put behind bars. Now, again, it's the Somalis right now. But at what point do we get to the level where we can see people like Tim Walz be held accountable? I don't want just prison for the people who stole from us. I want prison for the people who aided and abetted that theft. We have to stop this shit in its tracks. And I've got more stories like this coming up, unfortunately, because we have Democrats all across our country, George Soros-funded Democrats, you heard me correctly, who are leading to the death and destruction of our country right now. And the only way to stop that is to impose consequences on them. So I've got details on that. That's all ahead on this edition of Vince. Our great sponsors have kept this show going all year. You're wonderful. American financing is great. And, you know, the Fed just dropped rates. They just dropped rates for the 4th time this year. So, look, if you're a homeowner, you should call American Financing today. You could be saving real money every single month. High interest debt is crushing budgets all across the country. But homeowners who act right now are using their equity to wipe it out. American Financing customers are saving an average of $800 a month, with some getting rates in the low 5s. It's a massive difference compared to credit cards charging 20% or more. Speak with a salary-based mortgage consultant and find out exactly what you qualify for. There are never any upfront fees to find out how much you could save. Move quickly, and you could even delay 2 mortgage payments, putting cash back in your pocket immediately and giving you back some of that money that you spent during the holidays. Call American Financing today. The sooner you act, the quicker you can save. It's great. 888-879-6460. That's 888-879-6460. AmericanFinancing.net/Vince. NMLS number 182334. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the fives. Start at 6.196% for well-qualified borrowers. Call 888-879-6460 or AmericanFinancing.net/Vince for details about credit costs and terms. Thank you to American Financing. Great sponsor. Also, thank you to Beam. Our friends at Beam have been great. Hello, Major. I see. Oh, Major. Come here, buddy. Come here. Place, right here. Good boy. Sit down. Sit down. All right, I'll get you Major in a second. Thank you to our friends at Beam. You know, Christmas used to mean something very simple. Family gathered around a table, real conversation, hard work, rewarded with little time to breathe. But these days, everybody's looking for the easy way out. Not our friends at Beam. Beam is a company proudly founded in America, run by people who share our values. Hard work, integrity, and delivering results. That's why I want to tell you about Beam's Dream Powder. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on each new day. That's right. You'll feel lively, like my dogs. Like, you know, when you open the door in the morning and they take off like it's the first time they've ever been outside, that's how you'll feel. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients. Reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, melatonin. If you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/VinShow. Use the code VinShow. Take advantage of my exclusive offer for up to 40% off Beam's Dream Powder. So with my discount code VinShow, you get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. Go to shopbeam.com/VinShow today. Major's making noise. Come here, Major. Come here, buddy. Let me get Major up in here. It's, you know, it's Christmas. Little gift for you. There's Major. Oh, dude, look at the sweater. Holy cow. Major's got the sweater on today. Hello, buddy. Oh, Major. Major's got the sweater. My daughter dresses our dogs up in sweaters. Look, hey, you're revealing a little too much shoulder here, dude. Come on. Come on. There he is, Major. He's a good dog. Major's the best. Major's going to have a great Christmas. He has no idea I'm even doing a show right now, but he's a good dog. He's a good dog. And he's going to rub his face all over the floor of the room. Anyway, there's Major for you. All right, let's see. We've got a lot to get to. Yeah, the dogs are my favorite people, too. I agree with that. All right. So, Tampon Tim Walz. I was talking about this guy. So what's the deal? What does Tampon Tim Walz have to say for himself? In the midst of all this theft in Minnesota, $18 billion potentially stolen, at least, from the rest of us? Well, Tim Walz is pretending like he's all over it. We got to find out who let this happen. Oh, yeah? Here's Tim Walz. Today's charges are exactly the type of strong action we need from prosecutors to put fraudsters behind bars. That's why we shut down housing stabilization services and hired an outside firm to audit these programs. Yada, yada, yada. We will not tolerate fraud, says Tim Walz. We don't tolerate it. What's the community note on this? There's a community note. Let me see what it says. Oh my gosh, it's a great community note. So Tim Walz's tweet is, we will not tolerate fraud. The community note is, not only did Walz tolerate fraud, he systematically retaliated against whistleblowers and discredited fraud reports. Tampon Tim. Tampon Tim. You know, Tampon Tim, you know why they call him Tampon Tim? It's because he put tampons in the boys' rooms in Minnesota. He thought that'd be a great addition to the boys' rooms, which that's completely psychotic. I've got a better idea. Why don't we send Tampon Tim to a men's prison, and then he can find out if they have tampons there? Wouldn't that be good? Let's do that. Stop pretending like you care about fraud. You enabled this. You crushed whistleblowers in your state. People were trying to expose all of this, and the rest of us got robbed. Yeah, a men's prison for you, and you can have your tampons there. That'd be great. Okay. We've also got, in addition to this, we keep busting all these illegals and foreign nationals who've been stealing like crazy from us in other capacities. This week, the Trump administration just busted 2 Haitian men who stole $7 million in food stamp benefits from us. Cut 8, here's the Trump administration and the announcement about this story.
Bonner and Saul Elisme for large-scale SNAP benefit trafficking, a scheme that turned a program designed to feed families into a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. Simply put, there is no plausible way SNAP-eligible food could have been purchased from these stores for this long. Yet, these 2 stores are alleged to have illicitly trafficked nearly $7 million in SNAP benefits. The fraud was shocking and glaring.
$7 million. Who said that in the chat? It never freaking ends, says eGriff130. No, it never ends. And this is why people wonder, they spend years being like, why are you so concerned about the people coming to the country? America's a nation of immigrants. Don't be xenophobic. Stop saying people aren't welcome here. Stop telling people to go back to their home countries. You're a racist. You're a bigot. No, we're just common sense. People can immigrate to the United States if we allow them to do it. And the way that works, here's the deal. If you're going to come here, and if we're going to let you come here, you contribute. You assimilate, you buy in, you contribute. It's a very simple thing. If you steal from us, if you intend to steal from us, get the hell out, stay the hell out. $7 million in theft? What does the left say all the time about food stamps and things? Like, oh, this never happens. The food stamps are for the needy. There's no fraud. Illegals can't get food stamps. Why are you even saying that? Stop scrutinizing it, in other words. And then you look around and you're like, well, holy crap, $7 million was just stolen? They converted. How do you even do this? Here's how they did it. They ran fake stores, fake supermarkets, and they converted all of those food stamps into cash, and then they spent it on luxury items for themselves. So they're, again, stealing from you. And if you're not angry enough about this, let me just remind you what you're doing. Every 2 weeks or every 1st and the 15th, you're getting your paycheck. Then you're looking at it and you're going, that pay stub, and you're looking at it and you go, man, I'm paying a lot in federal taxes. Tax day comes around. You're paying a lot in federal taxes. It's like, holy crap, I got to pay a lot of money here. And just to be clear, some percentage of your money that you are getting sucked out of your paycheck every pay period is going to jackasses like this who came into our country not to be productive, not to contribute, but instead to destroy and to steal. And so that's what happened. And so is it good that the Trump administration is finally here to deal with this? Yeah, it's great. I'm glad these guys are tackling this. It should have never gotten here. Why do we have Haitians stealing, Haitian nationals stealing from Americans? And they're not alone. The Trump administration this week has also busted 2 illegal aliens who just stole $160,000 in food stamp benefits in Portland, Oregon. These are Romanians this time. They come from everywhere. It's everywhere. It's not one country. It's not one skin color. It's all over the place. 2 Romanian nationals, illegals, in the United States just made their initial appearances this week in court after being indicted by a federal grand jury for stealing $160,000 in food stamp benefits. Alexandru Telescu, 29, and Aramis Manalea, 35, both charged in a 26-count indictment to defraud the United States. To defraud the United States. So is the Trump administration on this? Yes, they are. We shouldn't have to deal with this to begin with. But these are the very real consequences of Joe Biden kicking our borders open. Now Donald Trump has to clean up the mess he made. When I talk about the Biden hangover, this is a huge piece of it. And that brings me to Fairfax County, Virginia. For those of you all across the country, but certainly if you've lived in Northern Virginia, you know all about this. Fairfax County, Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia, Arlington, Virginia. These are the counties just outside, the communities just outside Washington, D.C. And they are full of complete disaster because they're run by Democrats who have betrayed the children in the school system and the people in their communities time and time and time again. And this week, we get a story out of Virginia about an MS-13 gangster. Oh, another one of those. A Salvadoran national, an illegal alien, who was just in the custody of Fairfax County, just earlier this week, in the custody of Fairfax County for committing a violent crime. Fairfax County immediately releases him from jail, despite the fact that ICE has issued a detainer. And then he goes on to immediately kill a human being in Reston, Virginia, in Fairfax County, Virginia. Right away, this happened. Wait a second. ICE had a detainer for him? ICE knew you had him in custody and you didn't turn him over? Yeah, that's how Fairfax County operates. That's Virginia for you. Take a look. Cut 9, WJLA. This is a local ABC affiliate, but they have just been wonderful in the coverage of all of this. They deserve all the credit in the world. Take a look at their coverage.
A man accused of pulling the trigger in a deadly shooting just one day after he was released from jail is here in the country illegally. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Scott Thuman. On your screen right now is 23-year-old Marvin Morales Ortez. Fairfax County police say he shot and killed a man inside a Reston home today. And tonight, our Tom Rousey dug into Ortez's lengthy criminal history and found out this is not the first time he's been accused of murder. He also has new information that we just confirmed with ICE that you are hearing first on 7 News.
ICE is telling us not only was this suspect illegally in the country, they had put a detainer on him that was not honored. In addition, it turns out he's been charged with multiple crimes in the past, including murder, seemingly with no consequences.
Murder? Wait. Hold up a second. He was charged with murder in the past. He's an illegal alien. And thanks to Nick Minnock, he's a local reporter for WJLA. Same outlet you just heard from. That's the ABC affiliate, WJLA, in D.C. Nick Minnock, who was on this program, by the way, earlier this year, we had Nick stop by to talk about the chaos going on in Fairfax County, Virginia. Here's what he said last night. He said he has learned that this person, Marvin Fernando Morales Ortez, who was accused of killing somebody a day after being released from jail in Western Virginia, is in the country illegally and faced numerous previous charges in Fairfax County, including he was charged in a separate murder without ever facing justice at all. Why is that? Well, there's somebody called Steve Descano. He is a Soros-funded prosecutor. Fairfax County Commonwealth Attorney. That's what they call the state's attorney, basically, in Virginia, the Commonwealth's attorney. Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney, Steve Descano. What's the Latin phrase here? Noye prosecci. The man's first degree, no prosecution, in other words, the man's first degree murder charge earlier this year, allowing him to walk free, and he allegedly killed another person this week. Court records indicate that since 2020, Morales Ortez has been charged with several crimes in Fairfax, including a first-degree murder charge in 2021. A first-degree murder charge. You got to be nuts to keep this guy in the country. Even if you didn't have the evidence to basically prosecute him on the murder charge, even if you didn't have the evidence, if you've got an illegal alien in your custody and you believe there's any chance that he's the suspect in a murder case, get him the hell out of the country. And by the way, you don't need to be a suspect in a murder case. If you're here illegally and you're in custody, get him the hell out of the country. WJLA found that every single time, but one, Descano's office at some point decided to not prosecute his cases, meaning they declined to move forward with prosecuting him. ICE says to Nick that Fairfax County refused to even work with ICE and released this criminal illegal alien from El Salvador onto Virginia's streets instead of safely into ICE custody. Yeah. The Fairfax County Sheriff is a lady called Stacy Kincaid. She refuses to honor ICE detainers and releases criminal illegals into the community. The new incoming governor, Abigail Spanberger, the Virginia governor-elect, is considering Stacy Kincaid for the top Virginia State Police position, according to sources. Nick would later add in his reporting last night that this demon is an MS-13 gangster. He's a known member of MS-13. In other words, he's a Virginia man, like Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's just a Virginia man, like Kilmar. Kilmar's a Maryland man. I'm sure Chris Van Hollen is eager for his conjugal visits with this guy. And that's where we are. So Steve Descano, why isn't he prosecuting? Well, as I said, he's a Soros-funded attorney. He's a Soros-funded prosecutor. And in fact, the reason we talked to Nick earlier this year is because in Fairfax County, Virginia, in Northern Virginia, a sex offender, a known sex offender by the name of Richard Cox, that's right, Dick Cox, the sex offender, has been going into women's locker rooms and girls' locker rooms all around Northern Virginia on a routine basis, despite the fact that he's on a criminal sex registry. And the prosecutors in Northern Virginia, all Democrats, refused to actually go after him. Steve Descano, the Soros-funded prosecutor in Northern Virginia, refuses to prosecute him, the scumbag. They're both scumbags. And one of the reasons that Descano offered earlier this year for why he didn't prosecute Dick Cox is because he said Dick Cox didn't have a lawyer. Dick Cox didn't provide an attorney for himself. So in the absence of a lawyer, I can't prosecute him, so he gets to go away. Well, that's a neat trick. How does that work? I thought in your Miranda rights, they said if you can't afford a lawyer, one would be appointed to you. Whatever happened to that? So the hack to getting away with breaking the law is like, well, I don't hire an attorney, so I get to get away with it. This is mindless. All it is truly is this demonic ideology just absolutely taking over in these left-wing jurisdictions. And George Soros dumped a lot of money into making sure Steve Descano could become the Commonwealth's attorney in Northern Virginia, in Fairfax County. And now the rest of us are living with the consequences from it. George Soros' sins have a body count. People are dying in our country because of what he's done to it. And that includes putting people like Steve Descano into office. It's disgusting. It's utterly disgusting. And it once again goes back to the point I made about Tampon Tim and the rest of these Democrats. We can't settle for just getting these illegals out of the country after they commit murders. We can't settle for, prosecuting Somalis after they steal $18 billion from us. Should we do those things? Yeah, of course. But we have to prosecute the people who are making it happen. At what point is this, I describe this as criminal and intentional, that there's criminal intent behind the destruction of our communities? You're releasing guys with first-degree murder charges back out onto the streets? You're not deporting them? You know they're MS-13 gangsters? It's time for jail time for you. That's my position on it. And God willing, we can do something about it. But this goes back to the blue slip. I mean, I can't hit this hard enough. You want to direct grief at the Trump administration about this, feel free. They're the government, they can handle it, they're adults. But the only way they get anywhere is if they have prosecutors who can actually be in the job and see it through. And the only way we get that is if Republicans in the Senate get the hell out of the way of these great U.S. attorneys who need to be seated so they can prosecute all these people. It's as simple as that. You want actual solutions? That's how you get them. That's how you get them. I just tell you like it is. That's Fairfax County, Virginia. Madness, absolute madness. But then I got some good news this morning for you insofar as holding government officials accountable. It does happen. It's not like it never happens. It does actually happen. We got a report this morning. Nick Sortor had a great clip on this last night. Breaking news overnight in Milwaukee. You remember the Milwaukee County Judge, Hannah Dugan, who assisted an illegal alien into escaping the courtroom to evade ICE? She's just been found guilty. This is it. She's been found guilty of felony obstruction. That sounds like a good charge. Let's get felony obstruction going. How about felony obstruction for Steve Descano? How about felony obstruction for Tampon Tim Walz and Keith Ellison, for the rest of them, Jacob Fry, whatever it takes. Hit these guys with charges. So this judge just got popped and found guilty of felony obstruction for smuggling an illegal alien out of the courtroom to evade arrest by ICE. She now faces 5 years in prison for this. Chat, is this what you want? Is this the kind of consequences you're looking for? I think so. This is what I'm looking for. Here's the video that our friend Nick included with this. It was video of her smuggling this guy out of the court.
For the first time, we're seeing Judge Hannah Dugan outside her courtroom April 18th wearing her black robes, appearing to confront several federal agents there to arrest Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a Milwaukee man and Mexican national charged locally with 3 counts of domestic battery. This video, released by Milwaukee County through an open records request, is part of the evidence in the case against Judge Dugan, who's charged with obstructing a federal investigation, concealing Flores Ruiz, allowing him to leave her courtroom by a different door after sending the agents to speak to the chief judge. Flores Ruiz, dressed in black with his attorney, is seen in several of the videos leaving by that other door. One prosecutors say was used by jurors and not open to the public. As he leaves, though, he is seen in the hallway followed by another agent. As Flores Ruiz gets into the elevator to leave, the agent slips in as well. According to the criminal complaint against Dugan, that agent followed them down. The agent seen here following out of the building downstairs, and once backup arrived, they tried to arrest Flores Ruiz, who another video shows ran north in front of the courthouse for nearly a block before agents caught up with him and arrested him. Federal agents arrested Dugan herself a week later.
Yep. And now she's guilty. And now she's looking at 5 years in jail. And may she be given every last second of that sentence. She absolutely deserves it. How do we rein in out of control behavior from people in positions of power? By imposing consequences on their colleagues. You want to prevent an official from abusing their power? Demonstrate the consequences of what it means when somebody else who has power abuses it. Put her in jail for as long as you possibly can, and then see what other judges do. They're going to smuggle illegals out the back door? Good luck with that. That's how you end up in jail. Consequences. More, please. More, please. Before we go, I want to congratulate the Trump administration for tackling something that is so long overdue. RFK Jr. yesterday announced that the Department of Health and Human Services is officially banning any transgender mutilation or hormone injection of children. It's banned. Thanks to President Trump and RFK Jr. and the team, this is a really big thing. It's wild. There was legislation this week, by the way, to do the same thing. And it's just, and of course, it was Republicans who voted it through and Democrats who were trying to preserve the mutilation of children. It's so disgusting. Here's RFK yesterday announcing his role in all of this. Cut 10.
So-called gender-affirming care has inflicted lasting physical and psychological damage on vulnerable young people. This is not medicine, it is malpractice. We're done with junk science driven by ideological pursuits, not the well-being of children.
Yeah, it's been junk science, ideological pursuits, demonic treatment of our kids. No child is a mistake. They're not born in the wrong body. That is a vicious and cruel lie that leads to the destruction of these kids. And not for a moment do I want to play any part in that. My tax dollars are not going to the abuse of children. To hell with that. RFK announcing yesterday that he's stopping that at his level, which is a big deal. HHS is a very powerful agency, lots of money, and they're stopping it from going to the abuse of these kids. Chloe Cole, you guys know Chloe Cole? Chloe Cole, as a young woman, as a girl, was abused by this system. She was made to believe that she was a boy. As a result, she was subjected to surgical alterations to her body. And she has since, as they say, detransitioned. In other words, has come to the realization that she was used and abused and sold a lie. And she's furious about it. And she has spent every waking moment since that realization finding her courage and speaking out publicly in order to prevent the abuse of any other children. She's a hero, Chloe Cole is. She spoke yesterday at this press conference. Here she is, cut 11.
Every boy and every girl deserves to be loved the way that they were beautifully created in their mother's womb. And to the young people out there who are struggling with this mental illness, I want you to know that there is a better way out. And it's not too late to accept the beautiful way that God has created you.
How nice. How nice. To hear people talk like this, to just tell the truth, to acknowledge the Creator, and to say the most obvious thing in the world, that children are precious and they shouldn't be abused, and none of us should stomach the abuse of these kids. Marty McCary did a fantastic job. He's the head of the FDA. He came out yesterday and he stated it as plainly as any government official has ever stated it. Listen to him.
One of the most barbaric features of a society is the genital mutilation of its children. It's based on a medical dogma, sadly, that the normal, sometimes stressful experiences of boys and girls growing up is a pathology that requires medical intervention. Parents are told if they don't agree to these disfiguring and permanently sterilizing procedures, they're putting their child at increased risk of suicide, a baseless claim that has never been supported with good data. Let's be honest, and I'm going to say what you're not supposed to say. Pushing transgender ideology in children is predatory, it's wrong, and it needs to stop.
It's predatory, it's wrong, and it needs to stop. You and I have been saying this for a while. For the first time in almost ever, you have an official in the government, the head of the FDA, saying the truth out loud. And it shouldn't have to, but it took courage to do it. I'm glad he's there. And you know why he's there? You know why the Trump administration is doing this? You. You did that. This is what you voted for. You voted for a course correction. You voted for sanity to prevail. And we are seeing the fruits of your labor. So for that, as we approach Christmas, I pray a prayer of thanksgiving for you and the role that you have had in fighting for your country. I continue to pray that we recognize the blessings that God has given us so that we can use them to glorify him and to just forge a better path for our families and for our country. We really can do it. Just an amazing year. It's been so wonderful to spend it with you this year. You really are the best audience anywhere. We've got a couple things going on, just to give you a lay of the land of what to expect in the next 2 weeks. The fellas, everybody who works on this operation deserves a very well-deserved break for all their work this year. So we're going to take a 2-week pause on the live shows, and then we'll be back with you on January 5th. Now, that said, we've got content for you in the weeks ahead. We got some content next week. We've got Haley Karania, Sean Farish is here. I have a big interview with Ned Ryan. If you want some insight into what the 2026 midterms are going to look like and how they're going to operate, check out my conversation with Ned Ryan. You're going to love it. It's really good. And we dive into his conversations with the President of the United States and what the midterm map looks like going into next year. Just a realistic perspective on how to think about this as we enter the new year. And we've got a lot of work to do. It's going to be really great. So I just want to wish you the most Merry Christmas imaginable. I can't wait for next year. There's some guy called Dan Bongino who I think we're going to be hearing from very soon. I mean, the potential... What comes next is just going to be ridiculously great. I'm just really looking forward to it. And I'm glad we're going to be able to do it together. That's all I had. Also today, I got the big national radio show to close out the week. You can listen to that 12 to 3 Eastern time. Go to thevinceshow.com to get your local listings or watch us on Rumble, rumble.com/Vince. Merry Christmas to you. My thanks to producer Jim, producer Guy, producer Andy, to Jasmine, to Paula Bongino, the great Dan Bongino, the whole team at Silverlock, and you, the great Americans who make all this possible. Thank you. God bless you. See you real soon. Up next here on Rumble, Tim Pool. Is it Tim Pool today? Always throwing me curveballs. Here comes Timmy P.